I know we may have to talk loud because we have competition on the highway. So everybody be mindful of that. And so all of you know that we're here with Rabbi Niederman, who is the president of the United Jewish Organizations. Sometimes in my legislative career, we have an opportunity to develop good legislation. Unfortunately, it comes at the expense of an incident like the murder of Menachem Starks. But Rabbi Niederman, in his wisdom, gave us a few pointers about what's wrong with the law and what has happened in our state that could be fixed. And so I'm very pleased to have introduced this legislation with my colleagues who are here, Senator Squadron. We have Councilman Levin, the Borough President Eric Adams. And the reason we introduced this legislation is because there is a snafu in the law that exists that does not allow us to identify the remains or a body quickly enough in order not only to help the bereaved family, but also to conduct a proper investigation of a crime. And in this case, there seemed to be an easy solution that Rabbi Niederman came up with, and that is at the central office in the state, the Division of Criminal Justice Services develop a way in which they could notify all the precincts in the state when there was a body found or remains found, and there would be no missing link when a missing person where somebody who was missing in a particular place in the state occurred. So what this bill does very simply is require the Division of Criminal Justice Services to tell all of the local precincts that a body has been found. Go match it up. See if it's the missing person that you have in your precinct. And this way you'll be able to get closure on the case and possibly catch the perpetrator in short fashion. So without any further ado, I want to introduce my counterpart in the Senate who has introduced this bill with me before I introduce Rabbi Niederman, who's really the hero of the day. I want to introduce Senator Squadron.
Thank you very much, Senator Lenthal, and we are building toward the real force behind this appropriately. But I thank you as well for your leadership on this issue and so much else. And having as our local representative the person who runs the Codes Committee in the Assembly and is so present in our neighborhood and also so important in the legislative process is one of the great things we're very lucky for in this community. So thank you for that. And of course, great to see the Borough President. I've missed you in Albany these last couple of busy weeks. I don't know what. I miss you, and of course, Councilmember Levin, with whom I do so much. Look, when families suffer tragedy, they have to know that information is going to move so that the investigation can move forward and they can find closure and do what they need to put the tragedy to rest. Today in the state, we don't have that system. Too often, when remains are found, when someone's body is found, it just sits there without making the connection to the law enforcement, to the victims' families. And that's simply unacceptable. Look, there's a system in place today, and it's a nice computer, and when the match works, it works beautifully. When the match doesn't work, it means an investigation. It means the family suffering can't be dealt with, and that's unacceptable. It's real simple. When remains are found, get it out to the police departments immediately, and let's do everything we can to have a belt and suspenders to make sure investigations move forward and families can find closure. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. And we're pleased to be joined also by our neighboring Assemblywoman Maritza Davila. Now I want to introduce the borough president, but first, the hero of the day, I want to introduce first, Rabbi Niederman.
Thank you very much. It's not a hero of the day. It's something bittersweet. It's bitter that we as a community had to come up with this issue. It's even worse when you think that it is possible had the system that the distinguished legislator just passed, possibly and hopefully the murder would have been resolved. So we are happy that, God forbid, the next case will not be so difficult on the family, will remove faster the criminals off the street, and it will be safe streets, and very important, the human dignity of a person who has been murdered for no good reason should be respected and restored as soon as possible. And that's why we are here today to thank the legislator, to thank the elected officials who are here with us for taking up this issue. And I feel happy that, God forbid, the next time something happens, and unfortunately we know that something bad will happen. When it happens, there's a system in place, a rapid response. A rapid response of apprehension, a rapid response for the family anguish and anxiety, and a rapid response to return to human dignity. Let us all know that we were all created equal in the image of God, and that has to be respected. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rabbi Niederman. Next, I want to introduce somebody who's been our borough president only for a short time, but he's been behind all of these issues that we care about today. When the murder of Menachem Starks took place, he was the first one to call a press conference to express outrage about things that were happening in the Jewish community. So I give you Borough President Eric Adams.
Thank you, Assemblyman and my colleagues in government, the senators and the council, the persons who are here. This is such an important piece of legislation because as any law enforcement person will tell you, the first few moments after a crime takes place are the moments that is necessary to attempt to solve a crime, and is the highest level that a crime can be solved. And so when we're able to identify the human remains, we're able to identify the body, it actually speeds up the investigation, and it allows the information to be transmitted to all the law enforcement agencies that are involved. That was the spirit behind the Amber Law and some of the other laws, that when there's a missing child, to telecast the information throughout the entire state of New York and throughout the entire city. Technology is allowing us to solve crimes at an easier pace. CSI methods and methodologies are not only unique to television, but those are real live crime fighting tools that could be used. And so by identifying a body or identifying human remains, empowers the investigators to solve the crime and allows us to quickly apprehend those who are guilty. So I want to commend Rabbi Niederman, because some of the best laws we have are passed or introduced by everyday citizens. Brain power is not unique just to our legislative bodies. It is everyday citizens that understand how we can improve, how we move government forward. And so Rabbi Niederman's introduction and giving the information to our state senator and assembly person allows us the opportunity to introduce a new bill, a good bill, and a good life-saving tool to apprehend those who are guilty of crime. Thank you very much. Thank you, my colleague.
And it just thought just occurred to me. It took an Hasidic rabbi to bring us into the 21st century. Without that, I want to introduce Melissa Davila, our co-sponsor of the bill in the State Assembly, who has been very helpful in designing this legislation with us.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Rabbi for bringing this information forth and bringing it to life. I'm sure that a lot of our residents in the district, as well as New York State, will not be in opposition to this. This is extremely important because it minimizes the suffering of family members. Number one, it expedites the information that is needed in order to get the justice system to move quickly. And I have to say that my heart goes out to Mr. Starks' family as well as the Akendo family. And along with my legislatures, or my co-legislatures, we're going to deal with this bill aggressively. And I am calling on all senators and all assembly members to please join us in this effort so that these families do not have to endure this again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And certainly last, but absolutely not least, without the encouragement of our councilman, because he always makes sure that I pass the right legislation regardless of when it is, what it is, or when it is. Steve Levin.
Thank you, Assemblyman, and thank you, Senator. Thank you, Assemblymember Davila, and thank you, Rabbi Niederman. Sometimes some of the most important legislation comes out of tragedy, and this is an instance now where, as a result of this unspeakable tragedy that befell Mr. Stark and his family, highlighted a great inadequacy in our system of delivering information across county lines throughout the state. And as the borough president said, and he should know because he was a police captain himself, every minute when a crime has occurred is vital. Every minute is necessary in terms of being able to solve the crime. And what happened in this instance was that those vital minutes were lost because of a lack of communication from one county just across the county line into New York City, from Nassau County into New York City. And that's not acceptable in this day and age. And I want to thank and applaud Assemblymember Lental and Davila and Senator Squadron for taking quick action to make sure that this doesn't happen to another family. So, Rabbi Niederman, I want to thank you for bringing this to all of our attention, and to the Senator and Assembly members for moving quickly on this. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. So if anybody has any questions, I'll try to answer them, but we have the expert here, Rabbi Niederman. Yes. Yes, this will pass. This shouldn't have any opposition anywhere in the legislature. It just makes so much sense. I guess I shouldn't say that. Some of the most thoughtful and common sense legislation sometimes doesn't pass, but I think we'll get it done. In the Senate, we have a co-sponsor. In the Assembly, we have at least 15 co-sponsors already, without even trying.
You said that there was like a miscommunication type of thing, a couple hours lag in communication between the police departments?
Yes.
So how did they find out?
Well, in this case, remember, this was a very high-profile case. Not all of the cases are going to be like that, where it's high-profile, and the body will just languish in the morgue without ever being identified. In a lot of cases. The DCJS has the responsibility when remains or a body is found under this bill to notify every precinct in the state. This way we don't miss anybody who has a missing person. And not just try to figure out who has a missing person in the state and then send the information there. The information will be required, and it's as easy as sending an email to all of the precincts throughout the state, giving the description of the body and all of the other identifying information that they have at the time. Information right now. Because they have things that they don't want to disclose because they don't want to lose the opportunity to catch these perpetrators. So, and that's why I invited some of the police officials here today, but they'd really not speak about it so that they have a better opportunity to catch this guy or people
Based on
committed
what
the
you
crime.
know, are you confident there